sugar, like in like fructose and stuff in apples, some people might extrapolate that and say bananas, apples, blueberries, insert any fruit is bad because it has fructose, and fructose is bad for you. Concentrated like in high fructose corn syrup and you consume it over and over again, there's been poor health outcomes we've seen in that. But in an apple, it also comes with fiber, it also comes with antioxidants. It's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just pure sugar. There's other compounds in the fruit that promote good health outcomes in the long run. They extrapolate these things like sugar because you're isolating it to one thing and you're extrapolating it and making it bigger than what it actually is. It was the sugar. Oh nah, it was the fat. Oh nah, now it's the seed oils. No, we're just eating way too much and we're spending energy way too little. If we kept it that simple, it wouldn't sell things, it wouldn't sell money, it wouldn't sell billboards or whatever people are trying to sell supplements. Simple doesn't sell, so people say it's the phytic acid, it's the oxalates. No, no, it's not. Alright, y'all, so back in here in the episode of the Antico Podcast, and today the title of this episode is eating healthier or eating healthy. That's in simplest terms. It's simpler than you think. So I got a little paragraph here I'm gonna get into the brief things, and then we're gonna get into 5 things I think that can help people eat healthier in an easier and more sustainable way. But anyway, with a bunch of conflicting opinions, ideas, and beliefs around nutrition on social media, eating quote unquote healthy, I put this on quotations because this can vary from person to person, but it may just seem utterly impossible. Health promoting foods such as bananas, broccoli, beans, oats, fish and seafood, fermented foods such as yogurt and tempeh are painted as toxic, horrible, and terrible for you. But this is not the case. Nutrition is varied from person to person, but the core principles have always been consistent. So first things first, I think we got to clear the air. So there's been a lot of fear mongering I've seen since like 2020, to be honest, since, you know, people like Carnivore MDs come out and maybe Ken Berry. I've heard he said something about oats being like horse food for humans, which I don't agree with at all. Other people that fear monger, because a lot of the one of the main things, well, there's some other, well, two main things I hear are defense chemicals, which a lot of these are branched off from lectins, oxalates, phytic acid, and another big one that I still see. So I know RFK Jr. is trying to fry fries in beef tallow instead of seed oils. So the whole pushback in seed oils on the internet. I'm not gonna get into politics heavy at all, but I just know that's a major component, and it's just scary to me how he's in control of, you know, health for us, and he's pushing this, which honestly seed oils are being painted as toxic because they're higher in omega-6, which is, what's the name of it? Let me think. Linoleic acid. That's the word. That's the scientific term for it, I guess. And obviously the thing with seed oils is they're also in a lot of processed foods like Twinkies, Pop-Tarts. They're hydrogenated, so they're just a lot of them are very cheap, so they cut them in these processed foods, and also they make them more hyper palatable since they're higher in fat, obviously, since they're oils. So I think since people try and put 2 and 2 together, because a lot of people try and find shortcuts as to why a lot of us in the US are obese. It's obviously the bottom line is calories and lower energy expenditure, because people typically eat, you know, pizza and Twinkies and all these calorie dense foods all day, and they just kind of sit and watch Glee all day or something, and they're not, the energy balance is like you're eating this much and you're expending this much, so obviously you're gonna gain weight. That's thermodynamics. So anyway, people paint seed oils as being toxic, and the reason that, as I've mentioned, millions around the world are dealing with obesity and chronic disease, and a slew of different supplements being the magic key to helping you lose weight, keep it off, and take place of a healthy dietary pattern. But the truth is, a lot of this is just BS. Honestly, all of it is BS. These blanket claims are very black and white, lack nuance, and honestly lack the evidence to back it up. That's the main thing that is scary, because a lot of these people say claims like broccoli's bad because it has phytic acid in it, or it has something that can affect your thyroid. But the thing is, they're extrapolating one compound of the food and not looking at the overall dietary patterns. Well, they're not looking at the overall evidence and just reoccurring themes we've seen in living, breathing human beings. 'Cause a lot of the times people in these camps might try and use rat data, and we're not rats, we're not pigs, we're human beings. And the thing is, there's a lot of RCTs, there's a lot of random controlled studies That's kind of like the highest study you can get, like random controlled trials. I think that's the abbreviation. If I'm wrong, please correct me, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like super like sciencey with it. I mean, I've seen studies and experts explain it, but anyway, they're using studies of rats and things that aren't us, and they're using blanket terms saying this is bad, this is good, because my diet, I like more meat and I like an animal-based diet, so I'm gonna tell you that plants are bad. It doesn't work like that. And I'm saying you can't be biased and say this is good or this is bad just because this is what you do. You have to look at the evidence as a whole and make a grounded decision and give it to people that help them with their lives, not just helping you in your bank account. You know what I'm saying? But I kind of feel like I'm bashing people. I ain't gonna lie, I'm just being honest with it. Like, that's not how it works. It's not black and white. There's so many dietary patterns you can adopt, which I'll get into later, but it's no evidence in black and white. So it's not nuanced at all. It's just this is the best diet because I'm doing it, and whatever you're doing is wrong because what I'm doing is right because I'm doing it. It doesn't work like that in life. There's nuance, and there's a lot of different things that compile a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle as a whole. But anyway, yes, as I mentioned, it is true that almost all the ultra processed foods at fast food joints and supermarkets contain seed oils. But however, this is the big thing, however, which they don't tell you, which is weird to me. They also include loads of added sugar, sodium, and fat. And the thing is, sugar, like fructose and stuff in apples, some people might extrapolate that and say bananas, apples, blueberries, insert any fruit is bad because it has fructose, and fructose is bad for you. If it's concentrated like in high fructose corn syrup and you consume it over and over again, there's been poor health outcomes we've seen in that. But if it's in an apple, it also comes with fiber, also comes with antioxidants. It's levels to it. And I'm saying it's not just pure sugar. There's other compounds in the fruit that promote health outcomes, good health outcomes in the long run, you know. And the sodium and fat, all of this makes it tastier. It makes you want to eat more of it. That's why it's hyper palatable. They extrapolate these things like sugar, salt, sodium, all of that, and fat because it tastes good. It makes you want more of it, and it's empty calories. So you're eating more of it, but you're not really getting as much nutritional value from it, and you can eat it all day. So your like I said, your calorie expenditure is through the roof. Whoa, flip that. Your calorie intake is through the roof, and your expenditure is all the way down here. You know what I'm saying? It's not matching up. But anyway, to continue on my spiel, it makes it hyper palatable and enjoyable, like I said, but which keeps people's taste buds locked in 24/7. Deeming one part of the puzzle as bad isolates our problem to one aspect of it, which doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things, because you're isolating it to one thing and you're extrapolating it and making it bigger than what it actually is. You know what I'm saying? Because you can, it was the sugar. Oh, nah, it was the fat. Oh, nah, now it's the seed oils. No, we're just eating way too much and we're expending energy way too little. It's that simple. Because if we kept it that simple, it wouldn't sell things. It wouldn't sell money. It wouldn't sell billboards or whatever people are trying to sell supplements, sell, I don't know, a horse leg with a hoof on it. I don't know. People are trying to sell random things. It's not appealing because it's too simple. It's too energy expenditure needs to meet your energy consumption. Thermodynamics, people. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just too simple. So simple doesn't sell. So people say it's the phytic acid, it's the oxalates, it's the plant food. No, no, it's not. But kind of to wrap this part up, as I kind of mentioned before, if we look at studies in areas of the world who eat more plant foods, such as legumes, aka black beans, lentils, and chickpeas, if you don't know what legumes are, because honestly, a lot of people don't really eat beans like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't really know what the legume family is. Also, peanuts are a legume if you didn't know. Fun fact if you didn't know. Cruciferous vegetables? I'm having trouble pronouncing that. This is broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are underrated. I love Brussels sprouts. Like, I had some, I had some yesterday with some potatoes and stuff. Pretty good. And maybe even some seed oils in their cooking. Because the thing is, with seed oils, which I've seen, if you use them by themselves, like, I would probably advocate more for expeller pressed, because there is some concerns about free radicals being present in hexane press, a normal canola oil or soybean oil or whatever. I understand that. So if you want to get expeller press to ease your mind a bit, go for it. If you have the money and the means for it, that's fine. But if you put canola oil or soybean oil or on a salad, it's higher in polyunsaturated fats, which has been proven to lend to more health outcomes. You know what I'm saying? Well, good health outcomes. I have to add good because, health outcomes, what do you mean? But if you're just adding the oil by itself to a food, like a health promoting food, like, I don't know, broccoli or salmon, I would see no problem with that. We've seen that in studies and just reoccurring things that if you add it by itself, not in a Twinkie, not in a Swiss roll, not in a Supreme pizza, a meat lover's pizza, weird, you know what I'm saying? You'll probably be fine. It's not anything to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Just another fat source, to be honest. And in comparison to things like butter or lard or tallow, like people are trying to push, we've seen better health outcomes over time. So, like I said, we constantly see reduction in heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and other levels of health. I'm not going to go through the slew of them because I'm not going to lie. I don't have any studies under my belt, but you can look into it if you want. But just from what I've seen personally, what I've learned over the years, those pull more levers of health that we're actually worried about. Instead of adding beef tallow to fries, honestly, it makes no difference because you're still deep frying them. You're still eating McFlurries, and it's not changing anything. You know what I'm saying? If not, it could be a bit worse. But it's not the seed oils that are quote unquote killing us. It's the overall dietary patterns that many people are eating, which lack whole foods, plant diversity, fiber, moderate to high amounts of protein, lower saturated fat, omega-3s, and other nutrients such as antioxidants in berries, legumes, and other plant foods. So, as I stated, we cannot isolate it to one thing. If there's a billion other things in the picture, like lack of exercise, overstressed, too many calories, too much saturated fat, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of whole different things that we should be more focused on than what is my fries deep fried in? It's still deep fried. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you deep fried in olive oil, if you deep fried in avocado oil, if you deep fried in soybean oil. It's deep fried. The overall dietary pattern is cooked either way, so it does not matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter. So anyway, to close this off, no, seed oils are not quote unquote toxic. Oats will not kill you, and broccoli will not make you grow an extra ear or something weird. You know what I'm saying? Our main focus as a society to improve the whole obesity epidemic or whatever's going on should be calorie control, more exercise, and simply getting more whole foods and plants into the diet. Not stressing if broccoli is healthy or toxic. Like it's very how to say, it's very alarming, and it's just very outlandish to the point where, okay, so I'm gonna grab more eyes and saying, eat your vegetables, kid, eat some more plants, eat some seafood here and there. If you want some yogurt here and there, that's probably a good bet. If you want to even eat some chicken here and there, or maybe some red meat once or twice a week, but make most of your plant, I guess grow a garden, I don't know, or make most of your diet plants. That's a good way to go. You could be pescatarian, you could be Mediterranean, you could be a plant-rich omnivore. So many different ways, but no, we got to say this one diet's the best because that's what sells and that's what grabs people. No. Anyway, first of all, I think we should clarify, okay, what is a quote unquote healthy diet? Because the thing is, as I mentioned before, all these diet names like pescatarian, Mediterranean, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? So I put the word healthy in quotations because a healthy diet can be created in so many different ways, which makes it so interesting to me because one dude could eat, I don't know, maybe he likes yogurt. One dude doesn't eat yogurt at all. Maybe he's vegan or 100% plant-based or something. Maybe one dude really likes mussels and sardines and salmon, and he eats that every so often, but also eats legumes and broccoli and other plant foods. Like, you know what I'm saying? It can look so different, you know? And some good examples, like I mentioned before, I'll reiterate some, but the Mediterranean diet, that one is kind of like the gold standard. I feel like that's one that a lot of people could adopt and it would work well for them. But I mean, I don't know. A lot of things work differently for certain people. But as I said, a Mediterranean diet, a pescatarian diet, if you don't know what that means, it means you don't eat red meat or white meat, but you eat fish and seafood every now and then. But you also eat a lot of plant foods. Like you'll probably eat some tofu, some tempeh, maybe some black beans, maybe some lentils, you know what I'm saying? So mostly plant-based, but you're eating fish and seafood, which we all know fish and seafood is very healthy. Also, kind of what I'm doing right now, as I mentioned before, Probably gonna make some changes to this pretty soon, but very slight. 'Cause I think it's a very good way to go if you plan it correctly. But whole food, plant-based diet, another good way to go, or even a plant-forward diet, which some I'll probably go more towards in the future. And even a well-planned and diverse omnivorous diet can be very health promoting. So as I mentioned, there's a whole other. You can name your diet anything. You can name it the puppy lover diet. I don't know. Name it whatever. And as long as it's kind of in these, I want to go back. I want to go down to this part, kind of the key pillars of a quote unquote healthy diet, because I kind of think this will kind of give you a better outline as to, okay, how can I shape my diet to lend to more health promoting outcomes? So based off of everything I've seen, I'm not a registered dietitian or I don't have a PhD, but I would say I'm a pretty well-educated guy that just seen a bunch of stuff. So take this with a grain of salt, if you will. But based off of everything I've seen, all of these dietary patterns have one major thing in common. They focus mostly on plants with a good amount of fiber, plant diversity, aka that means including multiple different plants. This could be even spices and seasonings. Like maybe one week you use a lot of smoked paprika, the next week you want to use sumac or onion powder, or you mix the combination of them and rotate them, you know what I'm saying? Or you maybe one week you like butternut squash a lot, then you do broccoli, you know what I'm saying? Just making swaps, and it gives your gut something to play with. Guts, whoa, kind of weird. Anyway, well, I guess so, because it's going anyway. TMI. Anyway, lower saturated fat, lots of polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fat sources. Think of like nuts and seeds, fish and seafood, nut butter such as peanut butter, avocados, some canola oil maybe. I don't use that personally. It might be in some foods that I use, maybe. Like I know I like Ithaca hummus. It has sunflower oil in it. It doesn't really I'm not really concerned about it. I don't eat it like pounds of it, so it's not that serious. But olive oil, I use olive oil a lot. Like that's my main cooking oil. And tofu, that's another decent source of polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fat. And you can definitely include, like I said, some fish and seafood such as sardines, mussels, oysters, salmon, some fermented dairy like yogurt, kefir, maybe some white meat, some eggs here and there, and maybe even some red meat. But I would say in lesser amounts, maybe 1 to 2 times per week. But I think that depends largely on preference, what you like to eat. Like if you like to eat a steak here and there, I wouldn't. Like I'm not gonna castrate you for like do what you do, but just make sure you have a lot of plant diversity, some good fiber in there, and just switch things up here and there. That's all I can really say about that. But a healthy diet does not and should not look the same for every person. But as I previously stated, there's a lot of core principles that are actually more apparent than we think, because a lot of people bicker on the internet about my diet's better than yours. I like butter, so everybody should eat tons of butter all day. I like eggs, so everybody should eat 12 eggs every day. I like No, it doesn't work like that. Some people might have allergies that we don't know about. Some people might have more preferences. Some people might have dietary restrictions. Some people might have certain ethical implications. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? But however, I think a lot of these diets I mentioned, like a whole food plant-based diet and a pescatarian diet, are very similar. It's just a few minor tweaks. You can't get mad at someone because like, oh, they're eating a bit of fish and I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like your diet, like y'all are way more similar than y'all think. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are both eating a lot of plants, probably a lot of fiber, a lot of plant diversity, eating a lot of different foods. You know what I'm saying? So why bicker about it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just what brings attention, and that's what keeps the internet going, I guess. But that's kind of what I want to say here. Like, you don't have to be 100% plant-based if you don't want to be. You don't have to be pescatarian. You don't even have to be Mediterranean. Just include mostly plants such as fruits, vegetables, legumes. But I would build up to legumes because obviously people know with beans, they can upset your stomach a bit if you eat like a bunch at once. So I would maybe eat a 4th cup one week, then a 3rd cup, then half a cup, then just go up from there and gradually build up so your gut can adapt to it. Some nuts and seeds, and maybe even some mussels, sardines, salmon, eggs, and yogurt sprinkled in there as well. Those are also some pretty health promoting foods. I wouldn't say you should eat them all day, but incorporating them with a bunch of plants, that's probably a good way to go. But third thing I want to go over is How do I get started? Now, the first thing I would strongly recommend with getting started with developing a healthy dietary pattern is identifying what nutrient-dense foods you like and enjoy personally, and painting what pattern can be most sustainable for you personally. Because obviously, one person can be whole food plant-based, one person could be pescatarian, one person can be Mediterranean, whatever. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like, just because one dude is on the internet saying he did the carnivore diet and it solved all his problems. I mean, it's an elimination diet, so it reduces the risk of you having any, I guess, reactions to certain food groups, like maybe in legumes or vegetables or whatnot. But I would kind of see what you like personally, kind of what we know what works, kind of tweak things a bit and see what works for you. And once you find something, just stay relentlessly consistently, I'm crying. Stay very consistent with it and just adapt over time if need be. But as I mentioned before, there's a plethora of different methods to the madness, if you will. You could include no animal products and be healthy. You could include some yogurt, cheese, and milk if you want. You could include some eggs. You can include some chicken, some salmon, sardines, literally anything. You could make it work and obviously have an overall gist of what you're getting about, you know what I mean? So the main point of contention, as I've stressed this plenty of times this episode, is am I getting enough diversity into my diet? Am I getting a decent amount of plant foods? And do I like what I'm doing? Because if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to stick with it. It doesn't matter how glamorous people on the internet make it look. If you don't like it personally and you don't like the foods you're eating, you're not going to stick with it, and you're going to go back to where you started and then some. You might even go back some, you know what I'm saying? So I think the main thing with diet and nutrition is to avoid yo-yo dieting, going from keto to vegan to fruitarian, frugivore, whatever you call it, to carnivore. You got to find something. Just make small tweaks. The tweaks should not be super drastic. You know what I'm saying? You're not going from one fad to the other. Maybe you start off as, I don't know, an omnivore, a well-planned omnivore type diet. That you say, okay, I just want to eat fish and seafood with some legumes and stuff here and there. It's a very small tweak because you're still eating a lot of plants probably, and you're just reducing or eliminating the amount of meat you eat. Like, it's pretty simple. If you just want to do that personally and that's what works well for you, I don't see a problem with that, you know. But if you can't stick with it 5, 10, and 20 plus years down the line, and if you have, you know, if you don't have all the simple things in check, like getting more plants in, getting a decent amount of protein in, and all that stuff like that, I would reconsider what you're doing, because it's not sustainable for you. If you can't do it long term, I wouldn't stick with it, and I would find something that works well for you within the wide amount of guidelines that I kind of set. Obviously, it's not the end all be all. You can do what you want, but just from what I've seen and what I've heard a lot of respected people say, I just think that's probably the best way to go. But anyway, if all this is in check, you know, maybe you could add some protein powder, probably a fish or algae oil, or probably a multivitamin, and maybe some creatine in there. And honestly, I'll say you're all set. But the main thing is to implement, like I said, real and sustainable habits that will actually stick. Not any of this keto. Well, unless you generally feel good on a keto diet, by all means. But these next three are kind of they're very extreme. Keto, I'm not gonna lie, if it really works for you, that's fine, but take that with a grain of salt. But like raw, vegan, fruitarian, carnivore, like I don't really think that's the most sustainable way to go for the vast majority of people. But yeah, that's kind of what I got for this section. How do I get started? So hopefully that was helpful. But second to last thing, I wrote a lot for this. Oh my gosh. Tips on shopping at the grocery store. First, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited to get into this one because I don't know why. First, I will set up a consistent plan for going to the store weekly or even bi-weekly if you prefer to go to stores such as Costco or Sam's Club, because you know these stores are bigger sales markets. They have a lot of things in bulk, so you probably won't have to go there every week because you're getting like a large amount of things in one go. But for me personally, I go to the store every Wednesday, and that's very consistent. But obviously, if something comes up, like I don't know, you have a doctor's appointment, move it around. But you know, it should stay as consistent as possible. So you just kind of know when you plan things out for your calendar, like, okay, Wednesday I'm going to the store, and I'm gonna go at 10 a.m. and I know, all right, I'm gonna have my stuff set before that. I gotta make sure I plan my groceries ahead of time. So when you go there, you're not really tempted to, okay, I'm gonna go get Twinkies and eat cinnamon rolls all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have an idea, you have a strategic plan as to, okay, when I walk in the store, I know what I'm about to do. You know what I'm saying? But I would set out, like I said, a certain day and time where you're going to the store and stick to that as consistently as possible. As I said, if something comes up, please move it around, make it sustainable, make it flexible, but make it so where you can actually make time to get in your groceries. Don't try and find time. You have to make the time to set the precedent for what you're eating and the nutrition you're gonna, make for yourself. But secondly, which is another key part, which I kind of foreshadowed a little bit, well, for me personally, some people might not make a list, but I would highly recommend making a list. This can be via Notes app on your phone or Google Keep. Google Keep is a app on Google you can use, or just old school writing it down. I personally don't write it down. I'll write it down beforehand. I'll write it all out, because I go to 3 different stores. This you don't got to do that. I would recommend just going to one to keep it simple. But personally, like, that's kind of how it just works for me right now. I'll order from Sprouts here and there. My main store is Kroger, because it's like right down the street. And then I'll go to Walmart with my grandma on Thursdays. So anyway, other than that, I make a list of what I'm getting exactly, which honestly it shouldn't change much. But for me personally, since I make recipe videos, I might throw some taco wraps in there. I might throw some cannelli beans or something a little bit more random for me personally. But your grocery list probably shouldn't change that much, other than you swapping probably some broccoli for some cabbage, or some kimchi for some sauerkraut, or maybe some yogurt for some kefir, or maybe some almond milk for regular milk. I don't know. Just switching things out to make it diverse. But anyway, I would make a list. And honestly, I would also recommend seeing how much it would cost you, just so you know, all right, how much money can I put towards it? Just, making sure your financials are right. Just a quick tangent, like just making sure you know how much you're about to pay and how that works into whatever you're going on. Cause I don't know if you're a grown up watching this, like, okay, I got to pay for my car note, I got to pay for my daughter doing. I understand. Just make sure you know how much you're paying for it. Even for younger people, just know how much, where your money's going. Anyway, side tangent, I just want to make sure y'all are straight. But anyway, when you shopping, obviously a recurring thing I've heard. This is mostly true, but I'm gonna kind of get into the caveat to it. But when you shopping more on the outside aisles can be very beneficial. It generally helps you avoid and minimize your exposure to ultra processed food, because they're typically in the middle aisles of the store. But yeah, it exposes you more to whole, minimally processed food, such as produce, some lean meats, and seafood if you're into that, eggs, some dairy products. But the caveat, this is the catch, you should not ignore all the middle aisles, because this is where you'll find other health promoting foods such as canned fish and seafood like sardines, very health promoting, rich in omega-3s, rich in calcium, other slew of vitamins and minerals, and they're also very low on the food chain if you're into that. Canned beans and legumes, oatmeal, frozen fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds and nut butter, sourdough. Bro, I love me some sourdough. I'm gonna eat some sandwiches after this, but I just wanted to shout out sourdough. I love sourdough bread. But the key is to make most of it, if not all your cart, full of whole, minimally processed foods and a lot of plant diversity. But I want to put this in here too. If you do want some cereal, some ice cream, especially if you're an athlete, like I know some people, like some athletes I watch on YouTube, I think Luke and Nick, they like eat cereal because I mean they're expending a lot of energy, and I know like if you eat like beans and chicken and all these whole foods all day can be kind of like a lot, like because they're very, very dense on the stomach if you eat a lot of them, because they're filling, they fill you up because they're high in protein and fiber and all that type of stuff. So anyway, quick segue, but if you want some cereal, ice cream, candy, or maybe even some diet goals, diet soda. I've read that wrong. Diet soda, if that helps you stay on track and hit your goals consistently, I don't see a problem with it, because the main thing is, like I said, what can you stick with in the long game? If you can't stick with raw, vegan, fruitarian, keto, carnivore for long-term periods of time, do not do it. You're gonna do it for a finite period of time, and you might yo-yo diet to where you were at and just start eating standard American diet foods, I guess. I don't know. But if at night, you eat, I don't know. For example, I would say this is a pretty good way to go about eating in a day. In the morning, you're busy, you got to go to work. You make some overnight oats the night before with some banana in there, maybe some chia seeds, throw some peanut butter on there, use some almond milk, maybe even some regular milk if you want. Rolled oats or steel cut oats. Maybe put some creatine in there, some protein powder. Boom, good breakfast for the day. Lunch, maybe you meal prep some sardines. Well, sardines come in prepackaged, so you just throw them in there. Meal prep some salmon, meal prep some beans, meal prep some tofu, some tempeh. Throw that in there with some rice. Maybe do some Brussels sprouts, some hummus, some avocado, maybe some Promo Kitchen buffalo sauce. Quick shout out to them, they're really good. Or just some hot sauce. Pretty standard meal, pretty good. For your third meal, maybe do a handful of blueberries with some walnuts. And then dinner, you do maybe do if you did salmon or something for lunch, do some tofu with some potatoes and make a scramble with it. I don't know. That's fine. But also, if you want some ice cream at the end, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but I came back to base where I was at. At the end, you add a halo top, or add some ice cream or dark chocolate, or add some pizza. I don't see a problem with that. You're eating mostly whole foods with that pizza at the end of the day. If it helps you stay consistent, I don't see a problem with that. But I guess a good rough estimate of where to start with, percentages are kind of not realistic because things change, but the 80-20 rule is a good recommendation. So 80 is obviously the percentage of the time you're eating mostly whole foods, and 20 is the percentage of the time you eat less whole foods, more ultra processed foods. But they're not bad per se at all. I don't like saying that. That's a very black and white way to think about it, but they just shouldn't make up the majority of your diet, because we kind of know where that goes in terms of health. But me personally, I eat more of a 95-5, 98-2 rule. I just personally like home cooked meals. I like what I cook, so that's just me. But you don't have to be this strict at all to see good health outcomes. But yeah, number 4, tips on shopping at the grocery store. Oh, that rhymed. Anyway, last part to wrap this up. Just some tools to make eating healthy effective. So first one, meal prep. So prepping protein, carbs, vegetables, and other health promoting foods ahead of time in bulk. Some good examples of this include, like I said, making overnight oats. I eat overnight oats even when I'm not as busy, just because I like them. But it's very, like, I used it all throughout the school year. Like, it came in clutch. Like, if I had to be at practice, and like, one time, like when the school year is coming to a wrap, I wanted to pace one of the guys, and the Andrew ran the first lap, and I knew I was going to be out the house a bit longer. Knew I was going to be at the house. I don't know if I said it wasn't, but was going to be at the house a bit longer. And I just brought in my lunchbox and I remember some pumpkin overnight oats. They're pretty good. But I just brought it because I knew I was going to be at the house. So just know your personnel, know what you're going to be doing, and know, okay, maybe I should make some overnight oats. Maybe I should make a yogurt parfait. Maybe I should make something that I can store and I can keep with me and take with me on the go. Also, like cooking a pound of beans. I do this very routinely. Just soak some beans overnight. That gets rid of some scary chemicals. So scary chemicals like phytic acid, lectins. And lectins are thermolabile. So that means that when you cook them, they're pretty much reduced completely. So shouldn't have to worry about lectins or any of that. Anyway, and also cooking in a pressure cooker reduces that even more, since the pressure is pressing against the beans. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the scientific reason why, but just look it up, please. Look it up. But then spreading them out in a meal across the week, or meal prepping a pound or two of ground turkey on the stove, meal prepping some salmon fillets in the oven in bulk. But yeah, that's just kind of how meal prep looks. Just honestly, forward thinking, backwards planning. That's pretty much all that is. Just knowing, okay, this week I have a meeting. I'm gonna be in meeting, so okay, I'm gonna make these overnight oats so I can just grab them, go out the door, drive to work, or drive to Starbucks to start on content all day. I don't know, whatever you do for a living. But there's some tools that make it easier. Like, because honestly, I said this in one of my vlogs that I literally went in the fridge one day. I forgot where I was coming from, but I was doing something, and I came back a little bit later. I went in the fridge, grabbed some seitan, grabbed the protein source, grabbed some rice, threw some vegetables in the microwave. Because if you don't know how to cook vegetables in the microwave, like Brussels sprouts, put like frozen ones. Well, you can do this with fresh too. Put a little bit of water because you don't want it to burn. Put it on like, I don't know, 5 to 8 minutes, and boom, they're pretty good if you put black pepper and salt on them. Anyway, so people might think I'm weird for doing that, but I don't really care. But yeah, you can do that. So I just threw that together with some hummus, avocado, buffalo sauce, and boom, like that's a meal. It took 15 minutes. So meal prep just makes you less prone for decision fatigue, and it makes it less prone for you to say, oh, I'm about to go to Pizza Hut because I don't have time to cook. You just have stuff there, you just throw it together, boom, you have a meal. Anyway, other tools, some cooking tools, I would recommend an air fryer, a pressure cooker, as I mentioned before, a rice cooker. I love that rice cooker, bro. Like, it literally, like, you can set it and forget it. Like, a lot of these things you can set it and forget it, and you can do some extra work. You can go hang out with your mom, hang out with your kids. Like, you don't have to really be stressed, oh, I have to tend to this meal or it's gonna burn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mason jars, put in the oats in it, so you can store some chia seeds, some flax seeds in there. Just drink out of them. I don't know. Meal prep containers. Honestly, at the bottom line, all these tools make putting together healthy meals quicker and simpler, and make decision fatigue or negotiating with yourself as to what you're gonna eat less of a probability. And then second, I got more. Whoa, Caden wrote a lot. Learning how to cook and experimenting with the kitchen. So just finding what recipes and meals work best for you and rotating them day by day. Honestly, pretty straightforward there. Next thing, frozen vegetables and fruits. No, they are not lower in nutritional value in comparison to fresh broccoli or fresh snap peas or whatever the case may be, because actually a lot of them are flash frozen, which means right after harvest they grab them and freeze them immediately. So that means they actually retain more nutritional value than fresh fruit and vegetables, because if you think about it, if you put a fresh apple or a fresh load of broccoli, why did I stutter on that? It loses color and like it gets bad down the line. I ain't gonna lie, my brain malfunctions for a second. Bear with me. But in comparison, they've actually been shown in some instances to retain more nutritional value. So honestly, a lot of them are cheaper too, and you can just throw them in the freezer, pull them out of the freezer. It's pretty easy to throw in the recipes and things. So I would have like I eat a lot of frozen, like cherries, frozen blueberries. A lot of my fruits and vegetables are actually frozen, to be honest with you. Only ones that are fresh are obviously bananas, unless I freeze them for smoothies. I like fresh carrots. Some of them are canned. Like I like canned corn here and there. I like most of them are frozen though. About bottom line. Speaking of canned goods are very good. Like canned beans, canned black beans, canned chickpeas, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Canned sardines, canned vegetables like green beans. These are really great for convenience. Like if you want to just throw something in some stew, you don't have to worry about soaking the beans overnight or cooking the fish right then and there. You just throw it in there, boom, you have a good source of protein, good source of fiber, whoop to whoop, boom, good job. Okay, and then the last thing I want to mention here is just some examples of some meals that I make frequently that maybe you can recreate in your own way with your own individual variation. So first thing is protein bowls. I would describe a protein bowl. It's kind of similar to what you would call a Buddha bowl, if you've ever heard of those. Pretty much it's just it always is the same thing, but it's different varieties of the same thing, if that makes sense. So it's always a protein source. Now this could be, more heavy protein sources for me. It could be seitan, very good protein source. Could be tofu, could be tempeh. Lentils and legumes like black beans, they're lower in protein. They're more of a mixed bag. Like they come with carbs and, it's not really a protein source. Like I would say tofu, tempeh, and seitan, sardines, mussels, salmon, eggs, stuff like that, especially egg whites. They're more of the heavy hitters, but lentils, recently I've been putting a sprinkle of hemp seeds on them to jack up the protein a little bit more. And also if you pair it with things like quinoa, I mean, it's not necessarily like an amino acid thing, because if you eat different protein sources throughout the day, you'll get enough amino acids, but it does jack up the protein a bit if you eat it with rice or quinoa, and then plus the hemp seeds and maybe some nutritional yeast. Anyway, protein source. It could be sardines, salmon, some chicken, maybe some red meat here and there. Protein source. You have a carb source. For me, I love rice. I always do rice. I did tell myself I'd buy some quinoa eventually, but I haven't gotten around to it because I ain't gonna lie, I need to learn how to cook quinoa. Maybe I'll need to look at some Instagram reels to learn how to cook it better, but I always go with rice because I could eat a whole cup of rice and no light work, no reaction. Then a vegetable, typically it's either broccoli or Brussels sprouts. Every now and then I'll do carrots. Rarely I'll do butternut squash or something off the wall. And recently I've been adding olives because I really like black sliced olives. But yeah, I think olives are actually a fruit, I think. Anyway, and then a fat source, I'll do hummus, avocado. Those are my go-tos. Hemp seeds too, but they're also a decent protein source. And then I love buffalo sauce, like the Primal Kitchen buffalo sauce I mentioned. I'll put that on there just for some added flavor, and boom, that's a protein bowl. So you just have a protein source, carb source, vegetable source, fat sources, maybe some sauces on top, some light. And obviously, don't go too OD with the sauce and the calories if you're trying to watch that. But that's a pretty standard meal. Like it could be tofu, potatoes, carrots one day, and I saute it in olive oil. Boom, that meets the criteria for a protein bowl. It could be salmon, quinoa, and broccoli with some hummus. There you go. And then second one, oats, either stovetop or overnight. Stovetop, I'll typically use a cup of milk, a cup of water. Learned that from Jeff. Shout out to Jeff for watching. And then, put some blueberries, some healthy fats, blah, blah, blah. Overnight oats, kind of explained that earlier. Curries, I've been liking curries a lot more recently. I've been doing a lot of lentil curry. Tempeh curry is very good. I kind of mix between lentil and tempeh curry. I'll throw hemp seeds in there for some extra fat and protein and all that, and extra nutrients. Scrambles, typically I'll do a tofu scramble, but you can do eggs. That's another good bet. Throw some spinach in there, throw some bell peppers, throw some mushrooms. Mushrooms are very nutrient dense and probably an underrated food option, but if you don't like mushrooms, don't eat them. Eat something else. But I personally love mushrooms, so I'll add them. And then last thing, sandwiches and wraps. It's just get some sourdough, throw some hummus in there, avocado, throw some roasted tomatoes. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Anyway, maybe throw some sea salt and the black pepper. I guess the sea salt and the black pepper on the avocado. Mash it up with some wraps. I like tofu salad wraps. It's a recipe I made a while ago. Romaine lettuce. Make a dressing with some Worcestershire sauce, mustard. Throw some lemon juice in there. Black salt, pepper. Mix it up. Boom. There you go. Smoked paprika on the toast. Watch the recipe video. I'm not gonna go in detail on that, but those are just some meals I like and I make frequently. And honestly, you can, with the curry, maybe you don't like lentils, throw some chickpeas. Maybe you don't like chickpeas, throw some cannelli beans. Maybe you don't really want beans that day, throw some tempeh, throw some tofu, throw some sardines, throw some salmon in there, throw some chicken. You know what I'm saying? You can customize these meals in any way. Another good shout is yogurt bowls. If you don't want to use cashew and coconut yogurt, use Greek yogurt. You know what I'm saying? Good protein source, good source of probiotics, good source of things for gut health. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these meals can be swapped in so many different things. Like I could name a whole different type of combos you can make, and that's the beauty of it. You have to find a method between the madness of people saying this is bad, this is good. You gotta kind of see, all right, based on the studies and based on the evidence that's provided, what is the overall dietary pattern? What are the key aspects of the dietary patterns that lend to better health outcomes? Which I kind of stated before. I'll reiterate them before I close the video off. But good amount of fiber, probably should build up to that. Don't eat 60 grams of fiber, going from 30, build up to it. You know what I'm saying? Don't upset your stomach. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Go saying around, Caden made me eat 60 grams of fiber and now I'm cooked. Build up to it, please. Don't hurt yourself. Good plant diversity. Like I said, you eat broccoli one day, you eat Brussels sprouts, you eat avocado, you eat walnuts. You know what I'm saying? You use turmeric one day, you smoked paprika. You know what I'm saying? You just switch things up a little bit. Also just good for the spice of life, I guess. That's so corny, but you know what I'm saying? It's just good to change up the palate a bit, I guess. And then just make sure, probably eating more monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats than loading up butter and beef tallow all day. I mean, nothing wrong with those foods. I'm not trying to isolate them, but you probably shouldn't slam them every day like people are trying to tell you to do on top of a bunch of red meat and a bunch of beef organs. I don't know. Probably not the way to go. You probably want some cherries and some blueberries and some oatmeal if you can tolerate that, some nut butters and stuff like that in your life. You know what I'm saying? Just switch it up. Mostly plants, but nothing wrong with fish and seafood at all. Like, it's one of the healthiest foods you can eat, in my opinion. If you're not allergic, obviously don't kill yourself. But yeah, I just hope, I ain't gonna lie, you could probably tell I was excited going through that. I probably went through a lot of things too fast. I probably didn't, knowing me. I don't know. But hopefully that episode helps y'all, because nutrition, obviously, I'm very giddy about it. So you can tell it's one of my strong suits. And I just think a lot of people, including me, take it way too serious and they make it way too complicated than it needs to be. Like, as I said, like those meals, you can rotate them, and you can even throw in some even some other meals like pasta. Maybe you like gyros, or you like hibachi. I don't know, like something like that. You just rotate it to your own preferences and needs, but with a few key pillars that people have been proving over and over and over again that, okay, this works for humans, and these dietary patterns, these overall patterns and things that people do work, and you can do them in your own way. It doesn't have to be this diet is the best diet, this diet is bad just because it's not this diet. It doesn't work like that. People have allergies, people have preferences, a whole slew of things. People have more energy demands like me. I mean, I'm running a half marathon. I need more calories than the average person. So it's going to be different than me eating in comparison to, a younger girl. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that was the episode. What's even in I ain't gonna lie, I just yapped for a whole, like almost an hour. What's the name of the episode? Eating healthy is simpler than you think. Yeah, just trying to cut through all the BS. I know some people are just like, I'm just gonna drink water all day, I'm not gonna eat anything. They might be being sarcastic, but a lot of people, they're dead serious. They're generally scared of food because they don't know what to eat. Because a lot of people say this is good, this is bad. It can really warp your perception of what food looks like and what a healthy dietary pattern and a healthy life looks like. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want people to go through that, because I've seen people go through that, and it's honestly not fun. It's not the way to go. And I just want to, be the guy that's just like, all right, yeah, that's BS. Like, that's not true. Seed oils aren't going to kill you if you eat them by themselves. Now, if you're eating Twinkies all day, you might want to change something, change a lot of things. But anyway, eating healthy is simpler. If I could learn English to save my life, eating healthy is simpler than you think. I'm gonna keep all this in there. I don't really care. It's funny. Please clip me. Please don't. Anyway, this episode's funny, but that was the episode. Hopefully y'all enjoyed episode 93. Eating healthy is simpler than you think. And yeah, I'll see y'all next Wednesday. And yeah, that's all I got. There's the way that my lonely, I will touch the stairs the way that